Wow. Okay. And it's not all plain sailing, though, is it? Because sometimes you're put into harm's way. And you did a gig, correct me if I'm wrong, in Afghanistan,
Oh
and you
yeah.
had to recruit soldiers to actually
Oh
be in the
my,
band.
what an incredible memory that is. I mean, Gary and I, we keep trying to come up with these crazy ideas to do things, and this is one of them. And he said to me, "Do you want it?" I said, "Are you kidding? Of course I want to do it." He said, "Well, look, El, this is the crack. You're going to have to go out 10 days before me and find a band in the military and audition them and rehearse them, and then I'm going to come out and rehearse with you, and then we're going to do some gigs." I was like, "Wow, okay, sounds amazing." So we go out there. Me and the initial film crew go out there. The first day I arrived, they take us through all the different things you need to do and learn, and it was terrifying. And there's the sound of gunfire, and there's the helicopters, and I'm like, "What on earth am I doing here?" I wanted to go home. I remember that night, actually getting up in the middle of the night to go for a wee and walking outside to go to the toilets out of the tent, and just standing there looking up at the weather balloon and the airport and the helicopters. Like, what is going on? I'm a songwriter in Sheffield. What the hell am I doing here? Do you know what? After 10 days, I didn't want to come home. I always say, as a songwriter, you actually, as a musician, actually, it's not just songwriters. It's anyone who dedicates their life to anything. You make sacrifices along the way, and some of those sacrifices as a musician I refer to as the BMX years of your life. You know, when you're normally out on the street with your bike and your friends, or you're in your bedroom learning your instrument. You know what I mean? You're learning the whatever it is, your chosen instrument. And when the other one that you sacrifice is the sort of going out with the lads era, where you'd go from pub crawls and things like, because you're in the studio by then and you're recording and writing and all the rest of it. So I'd missed out on that sort of being one of the lads thing. I'd got a couple of friends like that, one in particular, Matthews, still my one a close friend. And I'd go for a drink with him because he was a musician. He loved music. We'd talk about it. But I was never into football. I didn't know I don't know anything about football. So I can't really go out and talk about it in the pub or anything. I just sound like an idiot. So I sort of realized at that point, do you know what? That this is the life you choose, and you make these sacrifices. So I think that going out there and being in Afghanistan and experiencing that camaraderie, where these people are literally there to save your life. And I'll be honest, I was really ignorant and guilty of taking these guys for granted. I think we all do, because you just don't really think about it. But they're out there doing this, risking their lives for our freedoms and the things we take for granted. I will never take them for granted again, because these young men and women, these brave people, and then when they get injured, I've managed to be a part of Invictus now and putting on events for Invictus, because it's just, if you've got to be able to pay something back to these people, being able to stand in front of these people and hold my head high without feeling ashamed of not knowing them. I feel like I can do that now because I've been there and spent time with them, and I've put love and energy into celebrating them at concerts like Invictus trials and things. And I feel an affinity as a result, and I have these incredible relationships and friendships. But it started there. It started in Afghanistan, and like, for instance, I'd auditioned for a guitarist. I heard there was a guitarist. He played acoustic guitar, and he was one of the truck drivers. And I said to him, "Do you reckon you can make a little rehearsal tomorrow?" We had these little windows of time, because they're busy. Everyone's got a job in there, in Camp Bastion, not just sitting around. They've all got different jobs. And he said, "Yeah, I'll try and make it." Yeah. And I was like, "No, mate, listen, if you're going to do it, I need to know you're going to be there." Yeah, I'll try and be there. And one of the guys pulled me aside and he said, "El, he means if he's alive tomorrow, he'll be there." And I just had to I actually put my head in my hands and I felt like I was going to cry, because it hadn't hit me until that moment that here I am looking at these guys like a lazy guitarist, who can't be asked to get there. And he would do anything to be in this gig, but he can't guarantee it because he has to go out over the line every day and drive out into the desert. And it was incredibly humbling for me. And I swore at that point I would never take them for granted again and do everything I could to support these people. And I do that. I still feel that way. And we did gigs and we had the most incredible experiences. They were brilliant at taking the piss out of me, which is awesome. I had two guys looking after me, Matt and Maz, who were just the most fun and the most sort of rewarding friendships. And I just experienced a level of camaraderie I'd never experienced before. So I would do it again in a heartbeat. It was one of the most fulfilling gigs I've ever done. And I put a band together out of the military, and we performed for Gary, and he loved it. He sounded great.
Oh, that's beautiful. Did you get to play with any of their toys?
No. You have to go everywhere. Actually, one of them let me hold when he was cleaning his gun. He let me hold his gun, which was quite interesting. It freaked me out. I've never really been a gun person. I never will be. But that was a moment. But I remember this brilliant moment when we were. One of the most stressful things to do is go and have something to eat, because there's like 1,000 other soldiers in there, and they're looking at you as all looking as who the hell are these guys? And you feel a bit of a giraffe at a gorilla convention. It's like, what am I doing here? And they're not allowed to have the weapon more than 2 feet apart. So the machine guns everywhere. So when you're eating, you're a bit vulnerable. So they have these armed guards watching you. So it's pretty intense having a bit of fish and chips, and you've got this camouflage dude eyeing you, eyeballing you. So we were sitting there, and Matt and Maz said to me, "Have you noticed any of the special services guys?" And I was like, I wouldn't have a clue. You can't miss them. Usually got that 1,000-yard stare. You can't miss that one. And I went, "How would I know?" And he went, "I'll have a look around, see if you can guess." So I was I was sat there munching away, and I sort of lifted my head up and looked around like that. I looked over here, and there's a dude, tough-looking dude, staring right at me. And I sort of put my head down like that, and I said, "Don't know, maybe a guy over there." And they went, "Is he still looking at you?" I went, "I don't look." He went, "Have a look, just casually have a look around." So said, tried to style it out, have a look around. Look around, I caught his eye again, still staring at me. I went, "Oh no, he's still staring at me." So one of the guys went, "Oh, we might have a problem here." I went, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, if he thinks you're eyeballing him, he's going to have something to say." I was like, "You told me to look." So he went, "I'm looking at you." So I'm not looking. He said, "Have a look, see if he's still looking at you." So I carefully sort of looked up, and I went, "Oh God, yeah, he's still looking at me." And then out of the corner of my eye, I saw him stand up and start walking. And I was like, "Oh crap!" And these two were like, "Right, we're gonna have to get off, El. This is getting a bit out of hand." I went, "Please don't leave me with this guy. What are you doing?" And this guy comes over, puts his hands on my shoulders, these massive hands, and he just went, "Is this the guy you told me about, boys?" And they just cracked up laughing. Anywhere near us cracked up. I was like, "All right, okay. This is what it is. This is getting you hazing, But do you know what? I wouldn't change any of it. It was the most incredible experience. Actually, I dare say, life-changing. It was actually the point where I thought, do you know what? If I was ever going to write a book, this is where it would start. At this moment where it was almost like transcending moment for me, of witnessing bravery that I'd never experienced before, and then being able to run the Invictus opening ceremony for these people. I can't put it into words how important it is to me. It was and is one of the most significant things.
Wow. Where would you put that in terms of your biggest achievements in your career?
I think right up there in the top 5, without a shadow of a doubt.
Wow, that's a big statement given your credits. That's something.